Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Don for this Don Alpha channel. Can you please comment, like, or share the video if you like it? So today we're just going to talk about the economic regional blocks in Africa. That's pretty much what I want to talk about. There's been so many developments which have been happening in Africa, and we applaud those great leaders who are doing it, and some who are really revolutionary, changing the whole status of the country to look much better than the way they found it. They found it like what it was. So it's a great improvement. It's a great achievement, and it just makes us feel proud as Africans, because if African countries are performing well, it makes it us, wherever we are traveling, wherever you're going, to be respected as well, because your nation will be performing pretty well, your continent will be performing pretty well. They don't want to look down upon your continent. Nobody will be looking down upon your continent because your leaders, your people are doing quite well. So this is something which you're encouraging as Africans, because when you hear somebody meet us anywhere which is not in Africa, it could be in Asia, it could be in the UK, it could be in America, Southern America, or Northern, Australia, or, Greenland, wherever, or Russia. When they meet us, they always convey, where do you come from? Of course, it's Africa, yeah? They will never think about you like Africa as a country. They will never think of it as a continent. They always think of it as a country. So somehow, our people have to do well, so that we can be referred as people who are struggling in 2025. So some leaders are pretty much doing well, and we applaud them. And today I want to start by looking at the blog, which is the Arab blog, which is Arab, Mareb, whatever they call it. This blog, the Arab one, it consists of Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and some few Arab nations around there, Tunisia and all that. So, but this, for me, according to my own judgment, this is the most sober blog in Africa. Unfortunately, it doesn't consist of the black Africa. It consists of most of these Arab nations, Probably can say they benefited from also slavery, because there were some of the people who did a lot of brutal stuff to the black community which used to live there, and they don't even want to recognize them. Now, like if you're trying to look for a black Egyptian, there are very few, they don't even talk about them. But if you know pretty well from the sculptures, from the pharaohs, from all those the pyramids and all those sculptures, if you look at their noses, they are damaged. There's a reason for them to be damaged. Who created them, who built them, and all that kind of stuff. And what do they resemble? What did they to remove the noses on every picture of those warriors which are on those pyramids and all that? So some of these things you can research. It's just out there. You know how it is. But this is the most organized block anyway, and it's well developed. It's much better. They have trams, electricity, they have everything. So if you have trams, it's like a light rail, a light electric trains, which can move around the city, transporting people. Instead of having the mini buses, you have the small trains which can move around the city, and the council municipality will be collecting money for that. So those are really developed. They are really developed. And then we'll come to the next one, which is the second one, which I want to talk about, is the ECOWAS. The ECOWAS used to consist of maybe 16 nations, but because of the withdrawal of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, so now they are around 13 countries, but it's also a rich bloc, economic bloc. Because when you compare the population, just imagine Nigeria, it's got 220 or 230, somewhere there, more than 200 million people. But still, it had to unite with other nations so that they can have a bigger economy, you see? So that they can trade, move around of goods and people easily in ECOWAS. They got an ECOWAS passport, they have an ECOWAS ID, people can move around easily. At least in ECOWAS. When you want to do like East Africa, whatever, then you still have a problem on that. But at least in ECOWAS, you can move freely. Look at Nigeria and Ghana. They're like brothers and sisters. You know, they got their abundance of the jollof rice and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good thing. When you can trade with Sierra Leone, when you can move around to Guinea, you can go to Liberia with no restrictions. You don't have to pay $30 every time when you're getting in for a visa. At least in that block, there's no need for a visa. I love that. That's a great thing. And some of them, they have, roads which link countries. I know, like, Nigeria, Cameroon, sometimes those roads are not really good, though. But some of the nations, they got, like, roads which are really good. And some are planning to actually build railway lines to connect the nations, That's how good it is as an economic bloc. And then we'll move on to the East Africa bloc, whereby we have Kenya, South Sudan, Tanzania, Congo, and all these kind of Rwanda. That bloc is pretty much doing well as well, you see. When you look at Uganda now, they want to build a pipeline for crude oil, and then they also want to build a railway line which can connect Tanzania and Uganda. This is really good, man. This was done before when Magufuli was still alive. Magufuli wanted to create a railway line which was getting close to Uganda. So Uganda, I think, was going to do its part as well to connect it to Uganda. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? And then South Sudan and Kenya, I think they wanted to. It's either they have a pipeline of crude oil, and then they want to build like a railway line as well in the long run. These are some of the plans which they are actually working on, which is beautiful, man. As a bloc, to build this so that for the masses to move around these countries easily. Now look at the economy they'll be having. Probably over 200 million people. 200 to 300 million people. The same with the ECOWAS. There's a little bit of a small group, of course, of Arab nations, but they are also rich. Because if you look at the Arab nations, because they are sober in the way they run their economies. There's not so much looting. There's not so much taxes. And how beautiful is that? Especially most of the Arab nations, they don't have taxes. You don't pay taxes, which is beautiful. But still they're rich. And you hear some other financial minister saying they are relying on tax. How sad, man. I'm Zimbabwean, right? So I'm in SADC region. We are done with those. All these blocks I've talked about, the East Africa one, they have their passport, East Africa passport, which means you can travel to Tanzania, to Rwanda, to South Sudan with that one passport. We don't need any visa. There's no need of paying a $30 visa, or $50 visa, whatever visa. Why are you paying that money? The same in ECOWAS. You can move around with using the ECOWAS IDs, ECOWAS passport, at least in ECOWAS. And the same in the Arab economic bloc. You can do the same. Come to SADC now. That's where my point is at. The SADC one. The SADC one. Let's look at the SADC, man. We've got 16 countries. The biggest bloc, economic bloc in Africa. biggest economic community in Africa. Where's the development? Look at Malawi. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at Zambia. The development is very slow in those countries compared to the other African nations, which are pretty much doing extremely well. We look at this, and then I'm thinking, like, my president is the chair, President Mnangagwa. So we come with suggestions here. Since you are the president, my president is the chairperson of SADC, I had a plea to him. I had to suggest, why don't you initiate the SADC passport right now, since you are the chairperson of SADC? We want the SADC passport so that we can be able to move to 16 countries without paying visa. That's our local region. That's our local economic region. We want to travel there without paying any visa, without any restrictions. What's the need of having restrictions for goods when you can service an economy of 300 million people? You will still have your country, but this artificial sovereignty of 16 million people, or 60 million people in South Africa, or whatever, 2 million people in Namibia, or 2 million people in Botswana, this cannot create millionaires, so many millionaires. Why? Because the economies of scale is small. If you are selling to so many people, imagine I take one company, which is the pen company. It's just for an example. Don't quote me on that, but it's a Zimbabwean company. I know the guy who started it, the founder. So we take Nash Pens. We are selling pens. That company is selling pens to targeting 300 million people. 300 million people economy with no restrictions. How beautiful is that, Mr. President? I'm not just pointing, you're the chairperson of SADC, but I'm also speaking to all presidents in SADC. If your company in Botswana company is making stuff and targeting they have to upgrade their skills. They have to make goods which are of a certain standard, with meeting the SIE requirements, international standards, or SIOs for any whatever product you'll be making. If you're making it for 300 to 400 million people from 16 countries, you're making for Comoros, you're making it for Seychelles, you're making, you can move your goods freely. This is not a new thing. It's not a new concept that you are testing it, probably it won't work. It's being used all over the world. It's only that in SADC we are so divided. That's why I'm talking about this. It's so sad. That's development in SADC. It's not just moving at par with other developmental or economical blocks in Africa. What's stopping us from having a passport? What's stopping us from having a SADC ID? Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairperson, you are the person in charge, and we are asking you, why don't you make a SADC passport your main goal? If you achieve that, if you achieve to unite all the SADC leaders and we create a SADC passport, do you know how beautiful it will be? And do you know how people of the SADC region will respect you? That will be something you'll be remembered of. And Mr. Mnangagwa, Emerson Dampuzo Mnangagwa, was the person who initiated, who was instrumental on creating the SADC passport. Some of the things is just need agreements. Just need people to agree on one thing. It doesn't mean that if you have a SADC passport, all Zimbabweans will move to South Africa. No, that will never happen. Imagine there are people with passports in Mexico. There are people with passports in Argentina who can go to North America freely. But it's not all of them who are just going to go to North America. That doesn't happen. It's not everybody who's going to do that. There are some people, even if there are opportunities, they don't see them. Those people who are in business minded, they can do the business freely because you have removed unnecessary restrictions. You have removed unnecessary duties and removed unnecessary, you just restrict goods. Why? Why? Let the companies, let people buy goods which are standard. If a company in Zimbabwe can't make goods which are standard compared to South Africa, that's their own problem. But in the long run, they will be forced to make goods which are of that standard so that they will be able to move them around. If you're making tomatoes in Mutoko, someone was giving this example. If you're making tomatoes in Mutoko and you make an industry there and make a tomato paste, you can move it to Seychelles. You can move it to Comoros. You have the market, There are people who will be wanting your products always. And you are targeting 300 to 400 million people. What's stopping you from this? Is it that hard? I don't know when you gather in your meetings, I don't know what you'll be discussing about. But I think these are some of the things you have to consider. It's really important for us. And it's really important for anyone who wants to invest in SADC, for us to be having free movement of goods and free movement of people, especially in our region. What's the need of having someone from Argentina having free access to Botswana or Zimbabwe or from UK? And then me, I can't have access to Malawi. I have to pay $30 to go to Malawi. What's the need of that $30? Do you know you make more money if your companies are growing than the money you're making on these duties and visas and whatever, just forcing people to pay visas? If your company starts having a billion-dollar company, a Zimbabwean billion-dollar company, that would be much better in the economic sense of the nation than the $30 you make on visa or $50, whatever it is. It's just my plea to you. We really need a SADC passport. We really need a SADC. This is something you can control. We have computers now. You have everything is on the internet. You just go to another nation, it gets checked online, scanned, and then you're in. Nothing like, you have 3 months in there. You're not going forever. You got 3 months. After 3 months, you can change your visa to something else. These are some of the agreements you can do as SADC leaders. Why stopping you? It's everywhere. East Africa is there. ECOWAS is there. AES, which started, the Sahel region, which started recently, 2 years ago. Now they have the biometric passport, even a better passport. Come on, SADC. You need to do better. That shows I'm Zimbabwean. The one I did. Come on, man. Can you do us better? Can you do something better for us? Whatever you're doing, we appreciate it, but we want you to, can you please make sure you are the SADC chairperson. You said we are the SADC chairperson, right? Why don't you make the SADC passport? That's my suggestion to you. I'm not in politics, I'm not in government, so I didn't find another way of suggesting this to you. But just to make this video, for those who are in politics, can you push it forward, even for Mr. President or your president in your country, in SADC region, to see this and try to use it to make it better for us. Any economist will know that the basics of economics is demand and supply, economies of scale. Because once you are selling your product to a bigger population, it makes you richer. You create more millionaires. You tend to wonder why China is creating more millionaires than any other country on earth, because they are 1.something billion. You want to sell to your own 16 million. That one wants to sell to his. This artificial sovereignty is just, I don't know, man. It's a mental paralysis to our leaders and to our economies. We need to remove some of this so that we can have a SADC passport. At least, if you can't give us an African passport, then start by giving us the SADC passport at least, because it's everywhere. See, it's working in other blocks.
Why not in our own block? We don't have it. Why is it in our own community we don't have it? What is SADC there for then if we don't have the economic benefits to it? I don't know. But this was just my point. I don't even think that you, even on SADC, you have any goals of having a railway from Malawi to South Africa or something, Zimbabwe, and then goes to Zambia. I don't think we have those. But look at East Africa. They have this, and they are working on it. They don't have just have it. They are working on it. They are building it, as we are seeing. So that's why I'm saying the development in Zimbabwe is very slow, especially for the PPP, not triple P. We need the public good to be done to save the masses, to develop. We still need electricity. We can't be relying on solar energy and all these climate change. It's all nonsense, those ones. We still need industrial revolution. We need electricity. Without the industrial revolution, there's no way you're going to be better. There's no way you're going to see your country turn into from a third world to a second world economy. There's no way if we don't have the industries. But for those industries to develop, we need a conducive environment. That's the part of the government. That's the part of our leaders. That's my plea to you. That's all what I'm crying for. We're crying for a SADC passport. We're crying for you to remove the restrictions. You see, like, I hear a lot of these people, so and so have been stopped, the goods have been taken. Unnecessary duties. Let the goods move freely. Let our companies make standard goods which can compete with South Africa, which can compete to Botswana, which can compete. Why do we have to make substandard goods so that they, we can just sell them in Zimbabwe only? They have to move around. At the beginning it can be harder, but we start having small businesses with a bigger mindset, with a bigger vision of selling to 3 to 400 million people. That's my plea. And remove the unnecessary restrictions of movement of goods. Too much duties, it won't benefit you. As a bloc, SADC. Too many duties will not benefit you. As a bloc, you need to sell like a family, like a same group, like a same economy, like a same. Come on, man! Stop this sovereignty, artificial sovereignty you have in your minds. Like, I got my own 16 million people. I'm gonna control them. I'm gonna, as long as I'm living well. No, man. Good leadership is about looking at the small people. It's about looking at those who are differently able. It's about looking at everyone, the small people, those who got disadvantages, those who got all this, That's good leadership. But I don't know what you're doing. Probably I don't know, man. I don't know. But my plea is, please, Mr. Mnangagwa, since you are the SADC chair right now, can you initiate so that we can have a SADC passport and try to remove all these unnecessary visas and what unnecessary duties on goods, so that goods can move freely, at least in 16 countries. Look at the economy, man. You'll be having economy 300 to 400 million people. Man, I'm repeating that because that's the most important thing. I want it to get into your head. It's simple economics. It doesn't need you to be an economist to understand it. I don't know. But this is what I've been having today, so that I'm just looking for our economic bloc to do better for us. Because pretty much they're not doing better for us. In our generation, they're just too slow. I don't know why we are not uniting. I don't know why you're not just thinking like, I'm going to have all the good roads are in Namibia. And then Mozambique doesn't have good roads. Zimbabwe doesn't have good roads. Malawi doesn't have good roads. We need good roads. If you look at Harare, now it's like 2 cities. Harare North, luxury. Harare South, the roads are just... And that's the capital city. Come on, man. These problems will come because we don't look at our own, producing our own stuff, like purifying our own stuff. We're selling platinum raw, as long as it's benefiting 1 or 2 people. Lithium raw, no one has to know the terms. the contracts, the procurement of contract awarding and contract the procurements. Any procurement which is being done is all secrets. In secrets. Why? Any nation has to publish this. This is public information. People have to know how their money is being used. But anyway, you are the leaders. We just want, what I'm just asking for is the SADC passport. I'm not a politician, I'm not anything. SADC passport, and please remove unnecessary restrictions of movement of goods in SADC. That's all. For today, I think I've said enough. Ciao, ciao. We'll meet on another one. Thanks for that. Catch you later. Outer.